muerte, kimne. We as a species experience it on a daily basis, so much so that we even use death to describe when an object ceases to function. Of course, video games are no exception to this. Many video games come out, are popular for a couple of months, and die out once a new game is released. It's just the cycle of life. Like with everything, we just have to accept it. But let me ask you this. What happens to a game when it refuses to die? Team Fortress 2. I'm sure you've heard of it. Popular on Steam. Is to me a game that seems to be in a very particular situation that I rarely see other titles in. The situation being that Team Fortress 2 is considered a phenomenal game with a seemingly active community supporting it, even compared to other source games like CSGO, and with little to no support by the developers beyond cosmetics and acknowledgement that they exist. It's considered dead by many, even though it has such an active community behind it. Now, why is the game like this? Several reasons, but if I were to dive into them, I'd probably crash my editing software. Plus, there's way better and more qualified people to explain this, so I'm going to focus on one reason. TF2 is complex for beginners, making the game hard for someone to play casually, never mind somewhat competitively. Whew, that's a mouthful. How the fuck do I shorten that? Okay, how about I cut this out? There. TF2 is too hard. I think everyone watching knows that, but is that enough to prevent a new player from picking up this game? Is the complexity enough for me to go from gleeful enjoyment to tremendous suffering? Well, that's what we'll find out today. Come join me as we spiral into the world of Team Fortress 2. Okay, now that I've made the intro, time to actually play TF2. Alright, I'll launch a game of casual, start playing. Wait, who do I pick? Demo Man seems fun. He's got a grenade launcher and sticky grenades. He should be a good start, right? I fucking hate scouts. Fuck! Okay, I seem to be getting nowhere with my current strategy, so I decided to do something drastic. Time to do some research.
The next morning.
After some research, I still can't decide who to play first, so I'll do something better. I will play everyone. Not just one character, but every single class in the game. Will I get good with each class? Honestly, I don't know. Each class has its own challenges to overcome, but as you all know, I love me a good challenge. So, I'll begin my journey with the one and only Soldier.
Hey buddy, you picked the wrong door. The Weed Club's 2 blocks down.
2 blocks! Very good! Yes, thanks! King! We go!
Being an offensive class, my primary goals are clearing out control points, taking out sentries, and doing the occasional cart push. With this loadout consisting of a rocket launcher, a shotgun, and a shovel, accomplishing said goals seemed fairly easy. My only issue at first was actually hitting people with my rocket launcher. Most of the time, I would try to go for a direct hit, and since the rocket doesn't move that fast, I would just find myself missing my shots 90% of the time. So I found it easier just to aim at the ground in their general area, which would blast them into the air, predicted where they would land, shoot them, and kill them. This strategy worked quite well for the first couple of hours with Soldier, allowing me to at least not bottom score. That was until I hit a wall. A wall I tried to avoid as much as possible. Rocket jumping. Performed by shooting a rocket directly underneath yourself while crouch jumping, you gain significant horizontal and vertical mobility, which allows you to flank and reach opponents from unexpected areas. This increases Soldier's mobility by a tremendous amount, making him one of the fastest characters in the game. That is, if I can pull it off correctly. Rocket jumping has many different variations, all having their own use and learning curve, but for the sake of my sanity and this video, I'll only try to master the basic rocket jump and wall jump. Both are quite strange to get used to since they require me to quickly flick the mouse back and forth. I later found out through experience and research that pressing forward while performing these jumps actually restricts your movements, so it's better just to use your mouse in tandem with A or D. You do sometimes have to keep W pressed, but that's mainly for wall jumping, so you can stay close to the wall and not do this. did attempt more complex jumps that require me to know how to surf and pogo, but since I need to get this video out, the only challenge remaining for me as a soldier player would be, can I put rocket jumping to good use? Well, see for yourself. Putting it to good use is somewhat hard. With it taking part of my health, I can't just jump in and expect to kill everyone since I'll instantly die. Taking into account that, and while I'm not jumping, I turn into one of the slowest classes in the game, I have to be more thoughtful of where and when I rocket jump, and after a couple of hours I decided on a loadout I really liked. My primary is the original because it looks cool, my secondary being the Conqueror with its health regeneration being helpful to somewhat negate the damage from rocket jumping, not to mention the rage is very useful when pushing with an uber heavy, and finally my melee is the disciplinary action to help me and any stranding heavy reach the point faster. Since come on, how can you not help this guy? You know what? I think it's time I move on to the Russian behemoth himself, Heavy.
It is good day to be not dead.
You are dead.
Born in the Zugzur Mountains in Siberia around the 1920s, Misha, also known as the heavy weapons guy, is considered the icon of TF2, with him being the focus of several promotional material like box art, cameos, and even given an extensive backstory in the comics. He is quite a unique character, with his weapons and general game plan being almost completely different from soldiers. I had to change how I would approach an engagement and several other things. Here, I'll give you an example. Say I'm walking to the point and encounter a demo man. Good. Now I shoot him down, and done. Wait. Where am I? More specifically, where am I compared to the demo man? Is he at a medium distance, far away, or close and personal? When I figure that out, I can now kill him. But wait, I need to know if he's a demo man or a demo knight. After that, I need to determine if I should fight him or run away. Since I don't know if he's alone, not to bore you with all the details, I'll narrow down 2 things I need to learn to become a competent heavy. Starting off with situational awareness. AKA, not being stupid. Gonna push the cart or take a point? Guess what, you didn't check your surroundings, so get fucked by the spy or headshotted by a bot. Trying to finish off a scout and running after him? Well, my friend, you're gonna have the time of your life. Pushing with your medic and you didn't give him a sandwich? Well, you know the drill. So getting myself killed in situations where I could've just healed my medic with a sandwich or avoiding the encounter altogether could be the difference between winning or losing. All characters require some level of SA, but with Heavy, it becomes essential for him to get anything done. I'm not even taking into account Heavy's awful mobility, which makes SA even more important since it takes me so much time to get back into the action. And Heavy does have items that help him with this issue, but he's still very slow even with said items. So I started relying more on engineers and medics to help me out with pushes, since a lone Heavy is often pretty easy to take out. And if that medic has an Uber or a Kritzkrieg, holy fuck, I'll just play the clip for you.
Get behind me, Doctor!
But what good is an Uber or a Kritzkrieg if I can't aim even if my life depended on it? Which in this case, I mean literally. That's where tracking comes in, the second skill I need to learn. For those who don't know how weapons work in TF2, I'll briefly explain. All weapons that are not considered projectiles like these are considered hit scan weapons. What are hit scans? Well, they do instant damage to anything that is in your crosshair, and in Heavy's case, anything that is in this radius. Now you might think, what's the problem? The crosshair is pretty big, so aiming doesn't seem to be an issue. And you are correct. The main issue is keeping that crosshair on your opponent. Since the minigun does around 5 to 3 damage from mid-range and worse from afar, killing an enemy is not going to happen instantly. And I think it's fair enough to say, most people don't want to get shot, so they'll do anything they can to avoid it. Oh, I forgot to mention the fact that Heavy needs to rev up his weapon before using it, with the added bonus of becoming even slower than before, being a perfect target for enemy spies and snipers. With that being said, is it hard to master? To be honest, not really. Most of the time, when you're tracking an opponent who's fleeing, you just have to predict where they might go, similar to what you do with Soldier, and if you're fighting someone directly, most of the time, with just the sheer amount of damage you do per second, you'll win most engagements. Not to say it's a cakewalk though. Learning when to rev up and when to fight was hard to figure out at first. Due to the minigun doing little more than tick one opponent from far ranges, I also found out while messing around in pubs that tap firing is actually somewhat optimal, funny enough, bringing back memories of my days playing Rainbow Six Siege. Now, with my rambling about what I learned with Heavy, it's time for the question. Am I good with Heavy? Yes. And no. Here, let me break it down. I do well when it comes to pushes and dealing damage to the enemy team, but I think my situational awareness still needs improvement. But most of that comes with experience, so I think over time I'll improve exponentially. I'll work on my sandwich use, spy checks, and my positioning compared to the enemy. My loadout with Heavy consists of the stock minigun, since most of the time I'm going to be pushing with a team, so I think a high rate of fire serves me much better compared to the competitor, the Tomislav. For a secondary, I went with a sandwich since it's basically the best item for Heavy. I do see some using the chocolate bar for health boost, but if your team has a medic, you can just get a better health boost with overheal, so you end up with a worse sandwich. And the buffalo sandwich is for committing tomfoolery in pubs. Oh, I almost forgot, the Fat Scout. While playing, I found an extremely optimal loadout for him. You basically run panic every